Hello and welcome to the... Fuck's sake. Hello and welcome to A Morning with the Lord. I'm the Lord, Daniel Duffield, and... Oh my god, I can't believe I keep fucking that up. Hello and welcome to A Morning with the Lord. I'm the Lord, Daniel Duffield, and this is the new first episode. Anyone who has listened to this, thank you for coming back. I have obviously been a very terrible content creator, as most of my videos were missing almost all the sound necessary except for me talking. I wasn't aware that that was the case, so we're starting again. We're re-rolling, and this is the best thing to start it on because I've just come across a story which was on Channel 7, I believe, today, and it's the Premier of Queensland telling us that anyone who isn't vaccinated by the mid of next year will be put into camps. That's right, people. You heard me. Fucking camps. And they don't look pretty. This is obviously not a good outcome. Not something anybody wants, I don't think. So it'll be interesting to see how the next few months roll out. Oh. This is bloody terrible. Before I go into a rant or anything of the such, let's just play this clip from the news. It's only 2 minutes long, so let's have a listen.
Last opportunity. This is your last chance to get vaccinated.
Hey guys, Aussie Cosack, and guess who's next to the Aussie Cosack? AFB, never far. Is it just me or are these guys following me? Well, naughty Anastasia. You just admitted on camera that you've got a plan to put the unvaccinated into quarantine camps that you're building outside Brisbane and outside major cities. Listen to this, my fellow Australians. This is what the mainstream media won't pick up on. But Palaszczuk, the Queensland Premier, just admitted on camera that she is building quarantine camps for the unvaccinated. Listen to this.
Quarantine facility that you announced that will be built, I think, in the middle of next year. Do you still need that?
I think regional quarantine facilities are going to be needed into the future. We'll also need it for unvaccinated people.
Unvaccinated people. Now you've heard that. That's her words, not my words. She admitted that it's for the unvaccinated. Now look what she says next. The same day, at different press conferences, she actually threatens us, Australians. She says, get vaccinated before it's too late.
This is your last opportunity. This is your last chance to get vaccinated.
What do you mean too late? What, going to come and arrest us and put us into camps? Is that where we're headed? Is that where we're headed, Australia? Is that what's going on? If you dare raise a finger at any of us or any of my fellow Australians, well, we'll see what happens. This has never been full before.
Right, so you heard that. It may have just been a couple of throwaway lines, but why else in a press conference would she say, this is your last chance, your last opportunity? You know, why, you know, if it's a slip of the tongue, it's a terrible slip of the bloody tongue. And this is dangerous times. You know, I can't believe I've actually just heard what I've heard. I'm completely speechless. Well, obviously not, but, you know, all I want to do is, like, just scream. Like, no. How can, like, oh my god, I hope this does not come to fruition. You know, the prospect of camping, putting people in camps, I can't believe this is even coming up again. We've been through this. Now, that video was put up by another YouTube creator. I've honestly never heard of them before, or never listened to their videos, and they're called the Aussie Cosack. Now, I'll put a link to that video in the description. Copy, and so you can all look that up yourselves. But here is a video put up by 7 News themselves, titled "A Bit Harsh, Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk responds to border reopening criticisms." Oh, this is border reopening criticisms. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really care.
Christmas reunions and Queensland holidays are back on the cards for Australian families after Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk finally unveiled a COVID roadmap for the Sunshine State. The first border barriers will drop from November 19 if the state hits its 70% double dose target.
And then from December 17, the state will open to fully vaxxed visitors with no need to quarantine. But with only 56.9% of Queenslanders fully vaxxed, the responsibility now lies very firmly with residents.
And Queensland Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk joins us now. Good morning to you, Premier. Now, there have been...
Good morning, Nat and Koshi.
There have been calls for this roadmap for a while. Why release it now?
Well, look, we know how important it is for families to come together, especially at the end of the year. And this has been tough for everybody. What has been very encouraging from Queensland's point of view is the high vaccination rates in New South Wales and Victoria. That has given us extra comfort. And the fact that we've done a home quarantine, we've started a home quarantine trial, we've done the students initially, and now we're doing 1,000 families. So we are very, very comfortable that if we can lift our vaccination rates, and the onus, like you said, Nat, is now on every single Queenslander to ensure that they're vaccinated, then I am sure that families will enjoy being reunited in December. So it's good news. A lot of family and friends in other parts of the country, and spoke to Alan Joyce yesterday, assured me he's going to put the additional flights on to ensure that those reunions can happen. So that's great.
It is great news. But you've currently got thousands of Queenslanders in a bit of a limbo on the border, waiting for border passes to get in. Will they be accelerated?
We will allow that on December the 17th, Koshi. So that is the time you can come in by road and by air then, but not before then. We just have to make sure that we lift our vaccination rates, and we believe that 80% double vax is the good threshold. I'd like to see higher. And I had been saying I'd like to see 90%, and everyone said, oh, no, that's ridiculous. Look at New South Wales, 90% first dose. ACT, 97, 98%. So it can happen. And if we drove that vaccination levels across the country, Australia would be in the premier seat worldwide with one of the highest vaccination rates in the world. And imagine how our economy would go then. It would boom.
So just to confirm, those residents wanting to get back...
Oh, right. Yeah, so... See, that's another thing there. You know, they're talking about Queenslanders trying to get back in. Like, when they put this... Like, there are people just out there that have just had to find new accommodation, totally, do something else because they were stuck in New South Wales and can't get back over the border. And old Palaszczuk. Sorry, I was pronouncing that wrong earlier. Obviously, it is Palaszczuk. So yeah, that's not overly important. Now, in one of my previous streams, I shared another YouTube creator there, Friendly Geordie's videos. Now, I'm going to have to take that down, but I'm going to give another video of his a look here. It wasn't one that I watched in that video, but this was released about 3 hours ago, and it's titled Cult of Gladys Berejiklian. So let's just give it a look and see if it's worth checking out.
I cried. Gladys has dedicated her life to a political career. She has been the best Premier this state has ever seen.
Dearly beloved, with the notable exception of Reddit addicts, is the reason you're Reddit addicts is you are not beloved by anyone, but we are gathered here today to mourn the political death of this... I'm sorry, what gender were they again? I forgot.
Woman.
Superwoman. Woman, female.
Yes! Thank you! Woman! 4 times in 3 minutes, ABC. That is the number that would make Danos Direct exec say, you don't have to mention the product advert. Room for improvement, though. I think you could have got the same message across if the entire segment was just reduced to woman, 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 ethnic woman, 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 bad boyfriend. Still, even if that was the segment, it wouldn't match the same amount of time that same woman said, I don't recall to ICAC. I don't recall, bad boyfriend. Scourge of the earth! Sorry, journalists of Australia, I did not understand how traumatic the existence of men are to you. 9 Fairfax can't even bring themselves to use the word. Some little lame, condescending code they have amongst themselves. Let's see if you can pick it up. It's very subtle.
A woman who didn't just navigate the blokey world of politics.
There are a couple of other blokes in the running. There are no other females.
Jesus, no wonder they had such a fit when I compared her to a penis snake. That is like using Muhammad to advertise $5 pepperoni pizzas at Domino's for them. Blokes, ruining it for brave women who are under investigation for corruption suspicions, and these fucking blokes won't even let us at the ABC at 9 Fairfax mourn the death of our beloved leader of the most boring cult of personality on earth, apart from, Jared Leto fans. 5 seconds to Mars. Guns N' Roses' softer songs already exist. I mean, the press and the Liberals have taken the woman being hunted by a pack of faceless men angle to new extremes, calling this entire ordeal a witch hunt. Liberal MP Jason Falinski likening it to the Crucible, but it's so evident they're wrong. They must have misheard the news or something, as it's ICAC, the Independent Commission Against Corruption, that are investigating Gladys Berejiklian. ICOR are yet to publicly name her as a person of interest. I hope they do soon, because Halloween's coming and I'm scared. Sorry, this one's late. I meant to release it.
Alright, well, that one's obviously just going to be a bitch rant about Gladys Berejiklian, which, if anyone wants to listen to any of Friendly Geordie's rants about Gladys Berejiklian, I strongly recommend that you check out his channel. Now, that's not quite something that I want to cover right now myself, however. But what I would like to do is just look over a report that Friendly Geordies did on water mismanagement in New South Wales. I think this is a pretty goddamn important subject that needs to be brought up. Just have a listen to this.
Bathurst, proud home of this Angus and Coot.
Yes, come inside. This is where you want to buy your jewellery, where everything is always 40% off.
It's called the Wimbledale Rivulet, and it is, according to scientists, drought-proof. So naturally, Bathurst Council, along with the Nationals, thought,
What's this? Something that's good for everyone? Well, we'll just see about that.
artificially dried it up for no reason. Wow. I can see why they're continually re-elected unopposed. Wimbledale went from looking like this to this. Would it surprise you to learn that making the Wimbledale Rivulet indistinguishable from the Bathurst 1000 track caused the local extinction of platypuses? As who'd have thought? Platypuses aren't desert animals. They require a tad more water than a fucking thorny devil. Not just platypus either. Freshwater mussels, frogs, water rats, which... kind of glad they got wiped out, can you blame me? And the reason the council gave for making Australia's most loved animal extinct, the water rat, was, say it with me everyone, I know you know the words, the drought. You know how everything used to be God's fault? Failed crop, act of God. House burns down, act of God. Everyone dies in a flood except 2 of every animal and a handful of the purest Christians. Well, yeah, that's God, it's in the Bible, duh. I swear at some point, I'm assuming it was the 80s, regional politicians decided to replace the word God with drought. It's never their incompetence or greed, oh no. Even when there were massive storms upstream that were so big, the dam was receiving 200 to 300 megalitres of water a day. To give you an idea of that scope, that's how much the council was promising to let flow downstream into the rivulet each year. So a year's supply of water stopped by the dam. Put aside that works out to be a little over 0.7 of a meg a day, and scientists estimate that the rivulet needs 2 to 4 megs a day, but oh no, if they actually listened to reality, they'd have to sacrifice 3 days worth of excess water over the span of a year. Christ, don't these tree huggers understand that have Blue Haven pools that they need to keep perpetually full because there's a 30% chance that Kayla wants to have a swim on Christmas? You know what's pathetic? Greg Hunt's entire life, but also not a drop of those massive quantities of excess water that Bathurst Council was hogging went to households. Not a drop. You can tell because water extracted from the dam wasn't even drinkable at the time, and households weren't even put on the highest level of water restriction, meaning any excess water usage from the dam went to watering f***ing ovals and golf courses, which I'm sorry, golf in Bathurst. What high-flying businessman are you trying to impress in Bathurst? What's their classic? Proud owner of EB Games versus owner of that f***ed Angus and Coot shop. Probably not even, as I'm sure the owner of EB Games plays Lee Cavallo's putting challenge, not actual golf, and despite all that water wastage, all that hoggery, the dam just a few weeks before that photo was taken was at 71% capacity. They caused an ecocide to a rivulet that will never recover from that, forced farmers downstream to kill off all but their core breeding stock, while they pulled a Jane next to a lane in the toilet cubicle of, I'm sorry, but there's just not enough to spare.
You can't spare it? No, there's not.
Now, let's just think about that absolute bullshit for a second. I mean, God. This is what... this honestly makes me speechless. I'm gonna... That's a bit to take in on one listening. You know, I completely understand. But basically what they're saying is they had a beautiful bit of land, river that was never going to dry up. We decided to fucking dam it. And then the fucking dam runs dry and doesn't help anyone. They used fucking how many megatons of water? Like, should have been going in a day, and then they took so much water for the benefit of only fucking, like they said, putting it on fields or, you know, what, it wasn't drinkable. So they took so much water that it was literally 364 days of that general river's fucking intake, natural intake. And they plan to give, like, the river a day's worth of water. How, in what planning fucking stage does that even sound feasible? Like, and then they run it, it fucking dries. They just completely, like he said, an ecocide. They destroyed an entire ecosystem and run it dry in a matter of days. Like, and these are the fucking cunts you're meant to listen to. How dare you question anything that the government does? Where's the evidence they've ever failed? They're not human. These are gods. Absolute gods amongst men. We should be on our knees. You know, I reckon we should start a new church. That's what I reckon we should do. Who's with me? Church of Fuckwit. Yeah, alright, let's just listen to a little bit more, because surprisingly enough it gets worse.
Enough to spare. Well, I don't need much. Just 3 squares will do it.
I'm sorry, I don't have 3 squares now, if you don't mind.
This is
exactly the same problem I have with nuclear power. You can build these things, they might even run perfectly like this dam did from the 50s till now, but if you give humanity the power of God, at some point some dickhead from Bathurst will be God. And though this God's pool might be full, I highly doubt he's smart enough to keep the pH at the right level, let alone manage something as complicated as water allocation. But at some point, they're going to have their finger on the button, and they're going to decide, no, the rivulet's drought-proof, Bathurst Cricket Ground isn't. It's sacred. And that's just giving the power of God over one water system to one dickhead. Now meet the dickhead-in-chief, Melinda Pavey, who's in charge of all the water systems in the state, who comes from a party that's completely under the thumb of the cotton industry. So I honestly can't think of anyone worse. Like, Sally from Oblivion would be an improvement as water minister. Ultimately, she runs the water police, which ironically are not the water rats. Should be. And maybe someone would give a rat's ass about the water rat. It's NRA. And after Bathurst Council provably, deliberately killed that water system off after mass community pressure, a year later NRA finally kicked in with the full weight of the law behind it and said, oh, looks like you did the wrong thing there by causing a local extinction for no reason at all. Not morally, I'm not concerned with that, just legally. So here's the punishment, Bathurst Council. You are getting a warning. That's right, the authority over the most precious resource there is, weighing in to say, yellow card. And just like every professional soccer player in the history of the game, Bathurst Council bitched and moaned about a penalty that doesn't affect them at all and took the decision to the court anyway, costing ratepayers hundreds of thousands of dollars, which, dude, can you imagine getting caught speeding and the cop saying, I'm feeling nice because it's my birthday, I'll let you off with a warning, and you vowing to take that decision to the High Court if you have to? That's how in the right you think you are, but replace getting caught speeding with killing every platypus there is. NRA, if anything, took Bathurst Council's side, believing their fly in the face of facts fantasy that it was an emergency, even if it was, and it very clearly was not, and you can actually drink the water that they were wasting. Not their job. They're not there to dispense policy on the fly, they're there to enforce the law. The law is that you cannot deny people or the environment water. Thank you very much, state Labor government. This is how complacent and lazy the Nationals are. They can't even be bothered to change the laws. Too many angry letters. They just fill the enforcement agencies with lackeys that don't bother to enforce the law. At which point this needs to be stressed. This is a couple of small dams on a little hobbit river. Imagine what atrocities they're allowing to go unpunished if it takes a community cut off for a year to get them to issue a warning. Let's just zoom out where the Nationals are currently proposing to build and extend on 4 massive dams on really vital arteries. Dungowan, Mole River, Wyangler, Gin Gin, which, f*** me, how Aussie is that? Mole River, yeah!
That Mole River is actually Tenterfield's River, and right now, down the street, there is protests going on, mainly about the 2050 climate date, but it's no doubt someone is probably going to talk about this, but you see, this is the bloody... They have absolutely no recourse for any of their actions. Like, this is... I wish my other podcast didn't fuck out, because this is something that I'm talking about that happens everywhere, and you know it happens. If you have ever had a job or worked as a group of people, you know that this is like most likely going to happen, that the people in charge will fuck up, and like if they are fuck ups, they'll have their friends sucking their dicks, and they will get out of trouble, and anyone puts in a complaint, those complaints fall on deaf ears because they know what they're doing. No one wants to recede power, no one wants to admit fault. And like, you know, and like this happens on a small scale. Like this, I was speaking about this in the report on the Australian Commission's report into the nursing home here in town. You know, which has just fallen into disrepute extremely. They almost should be shut down. They're so far out of compliancy with the law that, you know, because management was just allowed to get away with whatever, and nothing was being brought to the attention of anyone. And like, when did any of you hear that? Like, has anyone heard of this story? You know, I'm only just hearing about this now. And like, apparently the pressure, you know, like he said, the people of the community put pressure on the council for, you know, a year before they got anyone to even look into it. And like, all the council got issued with was a warning, and they took that to fucking court. They complained about nothing, and that cost the fucking ratepayer. You see, like, how much the rape, like, you know, these court cases, that's why rent's fucking expensive. You know, if you talk to anyone around here, I live in a small country town, and we're paying rent twice the level of our neighbours because the council's bloody broke. Rates have to keep going up to afford to pay for everything, and it's just becoming an absolute joke. This is happening everywhere, you know, because of bad bloody management. It's as simple as that, and something needs to be done. We can't keep being fucking yes men. You know, I don't know what to do. You know, we have protests and they get shut down because it's COVID. You know, well, I honestly do not know what recourse we could take, especially when a community had already spent, like, just on a little thing like that, spent a year and got nothing in return for it except higher bloody rates. That's all they got out of it. And this is coming here to, like, my hometown now, you know, and this is when people will get up. But I bet you they won't, because everyone needs to work. So you'll have every builder and everyone that will get a job saying, no, we need this. Like, it'll be good. It'll be right. You know, we just need the work. Shut up. We need some fucking work. You know, we need money. We need it. And we do. That's the way the system is. But, like, this is the fucking problem. You know, we're talking about putting fucking unvaccinated in camps and, like, fucking up our own ecosystem. Like, this is all just money. Like, we need to at least, like, you know, be conscious of it. Now, I'm gonna put this, link this video to, in the description, of course. That's not all of the video, but most of the important points have been, you know, addressed. But yeah, I highly recommend giving Friendly Geordies a look up, because he's one of the only people that are at least popular enough to get through to the average listening audience on YouTube, which is where I spend most of my time, at least. But let's go and have a look at some of the country's headlines online and see what comes up. Top stories of the day. Victoria records 1,461 new cases as further easing of restrictions announced. Isn't it surprising that those are in the same sentence, those two statements, and I can guarantee you that there are plenty of people saying no, like, we need to, like, we can't be easing restrictions while we still have so many cases. But, you know, like, that's the point of the vaccine. But it was like, I was reading an ABC report on, I think, my first podcast, and they were talking about how it's time now to stop looking at this and judging its harshness by the amount of cases. It's time that we start looking at the numbers hospitalised, because that's the important bit here. But, you know, like, wasn't that what everyone was sort of saying in the beginning? Like, I know the difference is now that it's going to be, you know, people are vaccinated, so we shouldn't be overly worried about the number of cases. Like, that's the reasoning. But should we be? I mean, it's not about, like, spread anymore. you can hear the narrative starting to change. You know, there's new laws in place. There's new rules, new regulations, and that's just what it's going to, like, they've got all that in place now, so they don't have to worry, and everyone's happy about it. This is what we need to get through this virus. I don't think there's any point in clicking on that article. What have we got here? 9 News. No new COVID-19 cases in Queensland as police investigate escape attempt. What's the escape attempt? Officers looking into weather. Live up there. Police are also investigating an alleged escape attempt by Queensland COVID-19 patient Duran Rahman. Is this the guy who was in the trouble? 9 News understands officers are looking into whether Mr. Rahman, 36, allegedly tried to leave the COVID-19 ward at Gold Coast University Hospital. Mr. Rahman, who tested positive to COVID-19 last week, is accused of breaching border restrictions and travelling to Sydney and Melbourne before returning to Queensland. The unvaccinated man was infectious in the Queensland community for up to 10 days, and health authorities said he was initially too sick to properly communicate. Exactly, and I'm pretty sure I read about this dude yesterday, and he was still too sick to communicate. Now he's fucking escaped, or tried to. Queensland recorded no... What? The unvaccinated man was infectious in Queensland community for up to 10 days, and health authorities said he was initially too sick to properly communicate. It was reported on the weekend that he was in a serious but stable condition. Well, how is this? Who wrote this article? God. It's just all over the place. Man, but police are looking for the movements of 7 New South Wales men who allegedly crossed the Queensland border illegally for a fishing trip. 6 of the men have been returned to New South Wales, with 2 of them since testing positive to COVID-19. One of them was infectious while in Queensland, and as of yesterday, police were still uncertain of the whereabouts or COVID-19 status of the 7th member. Oh, so we've had a border breach. Going fishing. Isn't that funny? And then there's I can't navigate this page. Holy bloody hell, where are we? MSN News, there's just shit coming up everywhere. I'm out. See you, MSN. That's enough of that. It's meant to be 9news.com, not MSN. Or is that MSN? I have no idea. Former Barilaro advisor fronts ICAC. Ooh, let's hear what's going on here. An advisor to former Deputy Premier John Barilaro has told ICAC about his first involvement in the grant funding for the Australian Clay Target Association. The ICAC heard evidence from Mr. Barilaro's former advisor in the Deputy Premier's office, Peter Minikus, who was a senior policy officer with a focus on regional infrastructure in 2017. It would have been early in my time in the Deputy Premier's office, sometime in 2017, he said. I had a role generally improving clarity around the process. Oh, wow, if you could see how many ads are in between this fucking story. Where even is the rest of the story? No word of a lie, I've scrolled down half of the page. What actually is going on? Oh, this is absolute shit. Fuck that. God, you can't even navigate the fucking internet. Oh wow. I just clicked on Yahoo News. I haven't been to Yahoo in a very long time. And yeah, we're not getting much. A Nightmare on Elm Street house goes up for sale at 4.35 million. And Keith Pitt elevated back into cabinet. Resources and Water Minister Keith Pitt will return to the cabinet in the wake of the Nationals providing in-principle support to the government's net zero plans. Well, we just went over the mismanagement of the water system, and here's someone getting put back in. I bet that's going to end well. Oil spill assertion defies common sense. When did we have an oil spill? See, this is the thing. Like, what is going on in the world? You know, talking about the camps and stuff, I said to someone earlier today, I wonder what's happening in America. Like what they're talking about. You haven't heard about them in a while. Oh, maybe they have. Like I said, I don't watch the news. This is my news time. But let's look at this oil company thing. I want to see. Oh, okay. I think they're talking about ages ago. An oil company's answer to the extent of one of Australia's largest oil spills defies common sense, judge says. Thai-owned PTTEP Australasia was in March found to have breached its duty of care to thousands of Indonesian seaweed farmers after more than 180,000 barrels of oil gushed into the Timor Sea in 2009. Crops in the Rote Kupang region were wiped out, impacting farmers whose income is estimated by one expert to be relied on by more than half of the region's households. An expert needed for that. How many people you got working for you, mate? Oh, about 12. Oh, wow. The same family, any of them? Yeah, 2 brothers. So there's fucking 11 households. Could even be 12. Still. Fucking not that hard. And what are they doing? How are they skirting the bloody ropes here? The federal court on Monday settled a dispute between the farmers and the oil company as to what parts of the region were touched by the oil spill. The region's land area resembles that of Geelong or the New South Wales Central Coast and is home to more than 150,000 people. PTTEP contended the court could not make a finding beyond a few dozen specific locations where individual farmers or community members had told the court they'd witnessed seeing oil or seaweed damage. That was based on its evidence the oil moved in lines and tigers' tails, not waves. The farmers' lawyers argued the witness evidence could be used to infer the Montana oil spill reached and caused damage to seaweed at all coastal islands in the Rote Kupang region. The judge found it was likely the oil was widespread and present around the coastal areas from September to at least November 2009. It would defy common sense to think that the oil from the H1 well blowout reached only the locations referenced and no other locations in the coastal areas of Rote Kupang, Justice David Yates said on Monday. The spill also likely caused, or at the very least, materially contributed to the quick and dramatic loss of local seaweed crops. But the judge stopped short of finding damage to every seaweed farm in the area over the relevant time period was caused by the oil, as the court hadn't heard from farmers in all villages. The decision brings the parties ever closer to setting the class action initiated in 2016 on behalf of the 15,000 farmers. What an absolute crock of shit, just because they hadn't all been there. Do they all have to give fucking reports? Well, to some extent I suppose they have to give a damage report. But still, if all these people are in a class action, then surely they've all been spoken to. Someone had to sign something. Yeah. Typical big money, big oil, ripping off the little man. And like since 2009. They've been waiting a while. Poor buggers. Inflation risk to housing affordability. Yep. An inflation shock in Australia would make it even harder for people to re-enter the housing market if it resulted in higher interest rates. And that's what we took. We got highest interest rates coming from everywhere because the council's dumb, because of inflation, because people breaking the shit and we gotta fucking fix it. That's what you want. Alright, let's go to news.com. Surely they are set up. Oh, no, they're not. Fucking Jesus. This is... Oh. Has anyone... If you've seen the movie Ready Player One, basically the bad guy's evil plan has already come to fruition. I mean, bloody hell. These pages are just full of shit. Jetstar fucking ads. Bloody other news articles. And the fucking Jetstar ad doesn't move. It's just straight there. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit. And, you know, we're talking about... Oh, no, I pressed the wrong one. We're talking about people going back to... Oh, pressed on the Jetstar ad. No, I don't want to go to it. Yeah, I just scroll down. Straight up I see the story about the infected driver in hospital again. But then, like, they have his face plastered up here. Now, this is a country that, you know, I'm not sure, but, you know, we used to have Darren Hinch out there complaining because they wouldn't name pedophiles. You know, and, you know, this person who's broken COVID rules, you know, we're slapping his face up everywhere, you know, and like, yeah, he fucked up, totally, but, you know, it's almost dangerous showing people's faces and having this guy's name everywhere. You don't need his name, you just need to know someone broke the fucking quarantine. You know, like, we don't need his name, I mean, like, the general fucking public. Like, they'll name and shame this guy. Like, I think it's absolutely disgusting. You know, like... we copping storms and tornadoes. Let's check that out. Some weather. Suppose we should have a little bit of weather talk, if I can read it, because half the page is a fucking header. Fuck off. Excuse my French. No. Shut up. Shit playing ads for Pizza Hut. Fucking banners. Oh my word. It's driving me nuts. Alright. Oh no. Now the screen's moving by itself. Okay. Bureau of Meteorology forecast Helen Kirkup said they would continue to make their way towards the coast as the day progressed. Certainly through the afternoon, we should see a few... Oh, what? That's not even the start of the story. Oh, my apologies, people. I am sorry. But yeah, Queensland, in for some crazy weather. Tornadoes and the such. I think it's quite surprising how many tornadoes we're getting. They are a rare thing that we do get in Australia. You just never hear about it. I remember when I was a young fella, living in Bargara. Shout out to all the Bargara peeps. But yeah, we had a tornado then that ripped the roof off a few houses and such. It does happen on the odd time, but to hear about so many, you know, like that was the only one I'd heard of until I think late teens, you know. And now we've had like a couple. There's even a picture of one. Normally people don't even get pictures, they don't last that long. Yeah, so I think some troubling stories on today's take. I will leave a link to the Friendly Geordies video and the video we watched at the start with Anastasia Palastouche. Sorry, I have forgotten how to pronounce her name again already. But yes, with her talking about putting unvaccinated people into camps, which I think is something like every single person should get up and say no right now. You know, camps is not a good idea. If that's where this is all leading, you know, and it's really seeming to look like it is going to be, you know, passports to cross borders. You know, I complained about this like a few years ago because I lost my ID. I had my wallet stolen. And without your ID, it's really hard to get new ID. You know, you got to go around to places and get all sorts of little bits of evidence so that you can prove that you're you. And, you know, it's almost like you can't even get a job sometimes, you know, because you don't have like a license number to put on applications and that sort of stuff. And it was almost like you needed ID to get anywhere and do anything. You know, a lot of nightclubs for ages and bars, you know, you can't get in without scanning your license. This is going to be pretty commonplace, I believe, moving forward. And it's truly very troubling sort of prospect. Especially if we're going to go to the extents of rounding up and putting people in camps. I'm not sure how. Like I said, you know, we can't protest because of COVID without being called out anyway, as if we're doing something wrong. But there has to be a way to let them know we're not going to do that. And I hope everyone out there supports the idea of not rounding up people and putting them in camps. Yeah. We said it was a choice. you can't go around like, you can't go around, the government can't say it's a choice and then literally throw you in a camp. You know, that's not a choice. I don't care how they try and fucking word it. Yeah, I'd normally be ranting, but yeah, I don't know how to take that sort of news. I'm honestly shocked. Truly and utterly shocked. Well, lords and ladies, I'm going to leave it there, and let's hope that next time we speak, there's something better to speak about. Okay, until next time.